Good afternoon, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here in the home weather office for Saturday, October 14th, 2023. In today's detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion, we are pretty concerned about Invest 94L that now could become a low to mid-grade hurricane, potentially a major hurricane in the next 7 days. Who could this impact and when could it reach your area? To start things off, here's a look at the true color visible satellite imagery provided by Dr. Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com. These images are for free, so there will be a link in the description below this video leading to his website. So we have a couple of things to look at here on the visible satellite imagery. The first one is going to be Invest 94L that now has an 80 to 90% chance of tropical formation in the next 2 to 7 days. That's a high chance as this is now moving towards the west and west-northwest at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. But another thing I wanted to show you all that you did already recognize is the annular solar eclipse. In fact, if we slow this down right about in here, let's kind of fast forward this, you can see that shadow actually moving across the deep south here, really making it look dark actually on the imagery in Texas, Oklahoma, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, if we forward this in a little bit more, it crosses the Gulf of Mexico into the southwestern Caribbean and then eventually into Central and South America by their afternoon. So a pretty cool sight to see. Here's a closer zoomed in view on Invest 94L as this is becoming better organized. Definitely some streaming cirrus bands to the north here, some organized convection. So definitely giving a high chance for tropical formation as this continues west. We can see winds right now are coming in out of the westerly direction here. So it's kind of hard to make out a center, but we think the center might be somewhere in here, just north of 5 degrees north in latitude. Now, taking a look at our latest 12Z global computer model guidance for this afternoon of October the 14th and the 15th, depending on what time zone you are in, we're going to add another model to the forecast here. We're going to look at the European first, then we're going to look at the GFS, we're going to look at the Canadian, we're going to look at the HWRF and the ICON model because the best part of this video is me being as accurate and honest with my forecast as much as possible. First off, we're looking at the European model for this afternoon of October the 14th and the 15th, depending on what time zone you're in. This is a look at the 850 millibar at 5,000 feet with the color shading being your vorticity, how much spin there is in the atmosphere. So going forward in time, we can see over the next 3 days, this doesn't look to bundle up very quickly. And that's what the Euro shows here, but some of the models are going a little quicker on this system, which isn't a surprise by any means at all. By day 5, this could become our next named storm, and I am pretty confident right now with all of the model guidance, with all the detail that I'm about to show you. I'm pre-naming this, and it's going to become our next named storm, and this will be Tropical Storm Tammy within probably the next 5 to 7 days at least with my prediction. So out to 5 days, we have a low to mid-grade tropical storm, and then eventually, as it gets very close here to the Leeward and Windward Islands, like the British Virgin Islands, including for Puerto Rico, very close here, we could be seeing a strong tropical storm or a low-grade hurricane with winds that could reach between 75 to 100 miles an hour and then possibly even stronger than that once this moves northwest. We have a big ridge of high pressure here, and so we will have to really monitor on how strong this ridge actually gets, how far south Tammy will be, but she is going to be pretty intense, and there is more than just the Euro to show you all. Looking at the GFS model, seems like the GFS has finally latched onto the fact that this will actually exist as a named tropical storm, and so therefore it actually shows it finally in some sense. I shouldn't say finally, but there's just every model that we're looking at here indicates a tropical storm or greater intensity. This is out to day 5, by the way, for Thursday, October the 19th. We have a big ridge of high pressure here at the surface. We have Tammy that is going to be moving towards this direction. as you can see here on the GFS, actually turning more northwest, but probably an outlier given all the models that we have today. And then may want to move back west again. Look at this, how interesting this is. Moves northwest, and then boom, it hits west again. Very similar to with what Hurricane Lee did, only that hopefully this is not going to be over land and it is going to be away from any land areas where people live. And eventually this could turn northward because we have a trough of low pressure that is in the way. This is out to day 10, and we know how tricky the forecast is 10 days out. We can even see that on the 06Z model run from earlier this morning. Had a very intense system, 954 millibars down to 965 or up to 965 now. So this is moving all over the place. And so we yet to know where this is actually headed. Now looking at the Canadian model here, this is another important model we like to look at. Still our westerly and southerly outlier. Okay, and so again, with that being said, that's why we're making videos on this, and we will be making videos as long as we can possible on this, as long as this remains a threat to some land area. Okay, the Jim model, that's a Canadian, for tomorrow morning, we can see 36 hours out, there is what is left with Sean. Here is what will soon be Tammy, or our next tropical depression. Tammy becomes more stronger by day 5, and we can see how this ridge is well evolved on most of the model guidance, not just from the Canadian, but the GFS and Euro like we showed you. And look at it, even shows that Sean might actually exist here, and also too, that might end up moving west. So could we have Sean for a while? We yet to find out about that. We'll see if Recon flies in there too in days to come. But in the meantime, we are really concerned about 94L becoming our next name storm. Tammy on the Canadian here approaching, it looks to be Dominica, as well as Martinique and some of the islands there like St. Kitts and Nevis, and even near Barbados. This could get close to you as a very powerful tropical storm or hurricane. And besides that, this could be a major hurricane on the Canadian model as it passes just to the northeast of Puerto Rico. That is not where it ends. Let's take a look now at our NavGem model. Yeah, I'm going a little extreme here on the prediction, folks, and this is my job, right? So going forward here in time, we can see that the NavGem also has this pretty intense. But look at the 06Z run. Wanted it right over some portions there of the islands, and this would be very intense. Look at this, 942 millibars on the NavGem from last night to right now where it's at 967, a little further to the northeast. So we'll see if the model guidance continues to indicate this. If this is going to be a fish storm, we just don't know. All right, I know you all in the chat or in the comment section are going to tell me, David, don't worry about this. This is just going to be a fish storm. Stop making videos on this. I'm not going to stop making videos on this because there's a lot of uncertainty in the forecast. And until we have concrete evidence that this will miss the islands, we're still going to talk about this. And we did it with Lee. Even so, Lee did not make landfall over the Caribbean or over any of the islands. That thing was a Cat 5, enough for me to not only just talk about it, but actually going live on it. So we'll see if this is another one of those systems. So looking at the Icon model now, going forward in time, we can see we're going to just kind of fast forward this all the way through Wednesday next week, October the 18th. We do have a strong tropical storm at the moment at this time, and then going forward, probably a strong tropical storm remaining, maybe a low-grade hurricane by Friday next week, October the 20th and the 21st. And again, it gets pretty close to the islands here within the next 7 to 8 days. Now I want to show you all the hurricane models. We're going to look at the HWRF and HMON. We're not going to have enough time to spend with looking at the halves A and the halves B, but those two are also indicating a hurricane, just for your information. So all the hurricane models here indicating a hurricane within 5 days. So the HWRF for this afternoon on October the 14th, you can see where it's at here at this given time. These are 850 millibar winds, by the way, and we can see already a hurricane in about 3-ish days. This would be Tuesday next week, and then maybe a powerful major hurricane by day 4 and day 5. Look at this, how strong that is. 942 millibars. And if that's not enough, let's actually zoom in on this and so you all can kind of take a closer look at how strong this actually is. This could get down to 937 millibars. That is right, 937 millibars by Thursday afternoon next week, October the 19th, 2023, 126 hours out. This could be a very big system. Looking at the previous model run though, the 06Z run, 941 millibars. Looking at the 0Z, 959, and then the 18Z run, very consistent here at showing a hurricane within this period of time. So definitely not, the chances of this being a hurricane are very high based on our hurricane models, and we will really have to watch this one, because if we look at our parent model once again, yeah, if this continues on this general direction, it is going to get very close to these islands, and that might be generous. This could be shifted a little further south, or even south than that, or just move in this general direction. Again, this has a very big concerning threat to the islands. Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy. Spaghetti model time for you all. I know I made you hungry. So let's take a look at the spaghetti plot. This is the tropical depression. Actually, what? It's a tropical depression now. Never mind, it is not a tropical depression yet, but let's take a look at this first, and then we'll get back to our spaghetti plots. How about that? So as of 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we're again tracking Invest 94L. This has a 90% chance, and let's read the entire storyline here from the National Hurricane Center. Showers and thunderstorms associated with an area of low pressure located several hundred miles southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands have not become any better organized this afternoon. It seems to change a little bit. Environmental conditions are becoming more conducive for further development, and a tropical depression or tropical storm is likely to form within the next couple of days while the system moves westward or west-northwest across the central and western tropical Atlantic. Additional information on the system, including gale warnings, can be found in the high seas forecast issued by the National Weather Service. So right now, in the next 2 days, there's a 70% chance, and within the next 7 days, there is a 90% chance, both high chances within the next week. Okay, now back to our spaghetti yummy plot, and we want to show you all the different models that the National Hurricane Center is currently monitoring, and most of them for right now, again, this could change in a nut flash, so I want you all to be aware of that. But for right now, most of the spaghetti plots are away from the islands, but still, 2 of these are on top of the islands, which means we still have a chance that this could make landfall over the Virgin, British, or Puerto Rico island, as well as the Butterfly Island, which is down here. Now, I want to make it clear with you all, this is not an actual official forecast. This is model guidance. So please do not use this map to make decisions. Please seek official info, all right, on the latest situation from the National Hurricane Center. They're the experts. They know what they're talking about. So please visit the link below this video once you are done watching it. How strong could Invest 94L get, you might ask? Well, it is looking very strong. We are looking at a potential major hurricane here as far as what all of the spaghetti plots show us. Yummy, yummy in my tummy, right? So looking at my latest intensity forecast, all right, it has been raised from the last one, and I did talk about how that might be the case in yesterday's video if the model guidance continues to illustrate that, and today it has done just that. Right now, my intensity forecast is definitely higher from the last one and is now in line with most of the model guidance, but a lot of them are higher than mine, and therefore I do predict now a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 80 miles an hour within the next 4 to 7 days. Looking at the latest super ensemble forecast, this is combining 4 of the main model deterministic forecasts, combining it into a super ensemble. So we have the Euro ensemble, we have the GEFS ensemble, we have the UK Met ensemble, we have the Canadian ensemble. So when we kind of put this all together, we can see with what most of the models indicate and most of the members. And so there are still more than plenty of them actually aiming this right over some of the northeastern Caribbean. See this kind of blue area? That's where you have a 5 to 10% chance of a potential landfall. And again, if the center passes just to the northeast of these islands, depending on how strong it will be, will mean what impacts will you get. If this is a Cat 5 hurricane passing just to the northeast of these islands, you could have some serious storm surge, serious life-threatening surf, as well as significant flooding that could be unsurvivable. We could also be looking at devastating impacts versus if this is on top of you or well away from you, it won't matter a whole lot, because if it's way out here, you're only going to get surf. Instead of it being right over here, it's going to be a whole lot closer. But you can see here the ellipse, right? The area of possible outcomes right in here. You are in the circle. If you're in Puerto Rico, if you are on these islands, you definitely need to be staying up to date on my YouTube channel for latest information, because this is pretty concerning, and how strong this gets will really be important. Another way we can see this is from weathernerds.org. This is basically the color plot showing you the max winds of each member. So this is out to 5 days, and of course we have tightly clustered members here, which means the chances of this going this way or this way or this way, not gonna happen. And most likely right now, this seems to bend off towards the west into this area. Now, where it goes from here, let's click on the next slide. And therefore, there's a lot of models spread. I mean, look at that. Big time spread, but still plenty of members here over the northeastern Caribbean. Plenty of room here of a possible landfall, and there's a high enough chance that this could make a landfall on one of these islands as a very powerful tropical storm, or even a Category 4. And in rare cases do I go ahead of myself at hyping this up. We'll be looking at a Cat 5 hurricane based on our spaghetti plot that we have here. I mean, very close. The past model runs, we're going crazy on it with a Cat 5 situation. So yeah, definitely need to be on top of this one for quite some time. Another product that I like to look at is the Statistical Hurricane Intensity Prediction System, or SHIPS for short. Okay, I didn't cuss, I want to make it clear, SHIPS. Okay, hopefully I didn't blow into the mic there. 491 or 494L, that is. And this is initialized as of 18Z. So it just came out literally a few minutes ago before making this video. And we can see the maximum potential intensity here is all the way up to 165, 170 knots. But what's more important is they're going to be shear. And right now there looks to be some shear within the next 4 to 5 days, even maybe 6 days, but it decreases really quickly after that, back down to about 4 to 6 knots, which is very ideal for rapid intensification. And then of course your moisture here is going to be fairly robust here, anywhere between 60 to 70%. Our sea surface temperatures right around 29.5 to 30 Celsius. So definitely a fairly favorable environment here needed for possibly explosive intensification. Now, I showed this map yesterday. This is the amount of upper ocean heat content that is in the waters, okay? So not just at the surface, but we kind of accumulate that in the deep layer of the ocean, all the way down to about 1,000 feet below the surface. And I am telling you folks, I don't like hyping up. Okay, and I want to be clear with myself on that. You've watched me over a year now since I started this channel, and it takes me a lot to kind of get worried, to kind of hype things up. This is absolutely ironic. This is sickening, okay? We're talking upper ocean heat content in the northwestern portion of the Caribbean, over Jamaica, over the Cayman Islands, into the Bay of Youth, as well as, say, Cuba, into the Bahamas. That is uncharted territory. I mean, historically speaking, I mean, this is very high. And I did some plotness over here that I circled in yesterday too. This area has the highest upper ocean heat content ever seen in the last 50 plus years, since records began, I believe, and that's over 225 kilojoules per centimeter squared too, which is, oh my gosh, if we, and again, I don't like hyping things up, boy vey, if we got any system that formed over here and moved like what Ian did, wow, things could take off very quickly, very fast here in the Caribbean. Thank goodness, in some sense, or I shouldn't say thank goodness, is that the system that we're tracking will hopefully miss these islands and then turn out, but still, a lot of this orange here on your screen is over 125 kilojoules of upper ocean heat content. So yeah, the Atlantic is literally on fire. It's not literally on fire, but you know what I mean. The waters are very warm also in the deep tropics here, anywhere between 28 to 31 Celsius, so more than warm enough to sustain a very powerful, major to even violent hurricane in the main development region, moving possibly into this portion of the Atlantic. Now, just remember, 26 degrees or greater are up here in the Atlantic. So we are seeing a track something like this. So this could stay over the very favorable environment for a while. Now, to do an overview and sum this video up before ending it, is that we are really concerned about 94L becoming our next named storm. This could become our next major hurricane. So Tammy could be like Lee, in other words. Yes, I mean, it's not looking good at all, unfortunately. And I just pray to the Lord Almighty that people here on these islands could definitely stay up to date on my YouTube channel. Again, I don't like hyping things up. I don't like scaring you all. I don't want to be called fearmonger happiness here. I'm not trying to be that person. I'm extrapolating the data as I see it to you all. And when I extrapolate things, that I see things that are very serious, that scream out a hurricane, what am I going to do? I'm going to try to relay that information out to you all. So I don't want you all to think that I'm hyping things up. I'm fear-mongering. I'm doing this, doing that. I'm doing my best at keeping you all up to date on the tropics. Even so you guys think that this may become a fish storm, we just don't know yet, right? You heard me many times already in today's update. All right. Now, before I do in this video, here's a look at the satellite imagery. Man, I just cannot wrap my head around on how cool that is. Seeing an annular solar eclipse on a visible satellite image perspective from the Tropical Tidbits website. Wow, pretty stinking cool if you all ask me. Man, that is just wonderful to see. So that's going to do with today's update. If you did like the video, detail and everything on the tropics, please consider subscribing if you're new, hitting the like button if you did like today's video, and also share this for more information. I will be doing daily updates on this system as needed, as long as this remains a threat to populated areas such as the Leeward and Windward Islands. I'll be back with you more tomorrow with another detailed discussion on 94L.